Good day, everybody, and welcome to a preview of Go From Fear to Your First Draft, the course that walks you through getting over what's been stopping you and on to your first book. Watch to the end for a preview of the course. In the meantime, let's start with some baby steps.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I'm going to be starting a new book soon, and I want to kind of take you through the process of how I started with the idea that it encourages you to get your own project going. And I want to let you guys know that it's not a super duper mystery on writing this stuff. The hardest part of writing the book is literally sitting down to write it. I kid you not. So what I want to do is take you through the process. I have a course on this, how to, go from fear to your first draft. And I can tell you that once you get over all the things that you believe are going to be revealed, if you will, in this book, and get on to the actual writing, it is not as hard as you think. So in the course, I literally going to pull you right through it, right? Take you by the hand and say, okay, do this first, do this second. But I want to just kind of show you how I start the process so you can get an idea. Right now, in this particular case, what I started doing is I started literally envisioning how I believe this book could be of service to people. How could it help some folks, right? And then who could it help? And then I started asking myself, if I were in a room just having a conversation with one person about it, what would I say? And literally what I do is I'll just write that stuff down, right? So if you could tell here is the, I'll do a cover, kind of get some cover art going. And what I'll do is I'll start thinking about how I want it to look, what I believe the impact is going to be, do some cover art around it, and then that cover art will be the thing that I'll put in front of me as I am going through the book. Okay, now I employ some old school and some new school methods. One of the old school methods that I typically employ when I'm starting to write a book is I'll literally just write it out, literally by hand. Okay, so I'll start getting an idea of who I want my chapters, what my chapters to be about. I'll get an idea of things that I've heard in terms of what people see as problems, because of course when you're writing anything, you're really trying to solve a problem, right? And sometimes that problem is for yourself. There's some internal things that you need to get out on paper that you want to say to the world. But then if you start digging into that, asking, well, why do you want to say that to the world? Why do you think the world would want to hear that? Then you start understanding what you're doing in that writing process. Okay, so when I start writing these things out, it may look something like this. Right? It'll look like this, just a little chapter list, start getting some ideas, brainstorming, right? Getting a whole bunch of stuff down and then circling the things that look like themes, okay? Because they keep popping up. So they must be things that seem to resonate with you. And if you start hearing that other people that's resonating with other people, now you start circling those things and you get them down into chapter lists. Okay, now here's the old school method, right? I'll take literally 5x7 cards, right? You get those right over at the dollar store for, guess what? $1, maybe even less. And you just start writing things out, because you're going to not only use this to be a prompt for you, but you're also going to use these just to kind of shuffle around easily. I used to use real big pieces of paper, all right, and it just got unwieldy. So what I'll do now is I'll take just a 5x7 card, or you can use a 3x5 card, whatever you want to use, and then start writing out those chapters that I wrote down and start asking questions of it. Start saying to yourself, what exactly is it I'm trying to say here, right? What is the best way that I can say it, right? Who do I believe it can help, and then why? Just little prompts that starts it might start you off on your research, because from these prompts, then you say, well, you know what? I don't know a lot about this subject. Who does? You write that on your card and you start finding out who you need to talk to, right? Or you go to the library or wherever you want to go to get books, go to the internet, whatever it is. Get information on it. Start writing it on a card. Because each one of these cards, remember, each one of these cards is going to represent what you're going to be talking about in that chapter. So, all right. Now, I'll do that. I also use some new school tools. I use Scrivener sometimes. If anybody knows about Scrivener, I think you can go to Scrivener.com. They have some really interesting things where you can use like cork boards, and you can put your information on there. You can put your plots if it's a nonfiction book. You can do a whole bunch of stuff in Scrivener. Now, I personally don't like to have anything that gets in the way of you presenting your information as quickly as you possibly can. So sometimes just the learning curve in figuring out Scrivener and all that kind of stuff can get in the way of you doing the thing. Some people believe they need bells and whistles. You really don't. You just need a outline that pulls you to the next conversation, that pulls you to the next chapter, that pulls you to the next paragraph, sentence, all the way down. Is that making sense? So what I wanted to show you guys is, as I think about building out this book, then I sit down and I start thinking about the big picture. I start really imagining all the people being helped. I literally see the people reading the book, if anybody still reads paperback, or I see them looking on their phones, or I see them listening to the book. I really envision who this is going to be listened or read by. I imagine them actually consuming this information and then being helped by it, right? So what that does is that starts getting a connection with your potential audience. It starts opening up your heart to them, because you start saying, okay, if I were them, if I were, switched places with them, what would I take from this book? What would I need from this book? And then as you start answering those questions, now you start writing those things down and then getting them out. All right, now the process itself is, I talked about it in one of my books called Writing is a Jealous Lover. I talked about the math of writing. It's just math, right? If you do so many pages per day, by the end of a period of time, you'll have that many pages. That's why I said at the top of this conversation how hard it is to just get and sit down. That's the hardest part of the writing process, because guess what? Our lives are busy. We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. We got preferred things, and we don't know where this book thing is going to go anyway, right? So it gets shoved to the back. But if you just gave it the same kind of time that you'd give a show or some Netflix or a movie or vacation, whatever it is, right? If you gave it the same amount of time, guess what? In short order, you'll have your book done, right? So I just wanted to give you just kind of a inside view of the process, the start. I got more of this stuff that I talk about in the course where I break it down, I show the actual cards, how they actually look. I show the new ways to do it. I show the old ways to do it, right? And then I say, here's how you can combine it. And then I talk about the math of writing. And then I talk about how you can take prompts that pull you to the next sentence and paragraphs, right? I make it as easy as possible. Very, very easy for you to literally do what I'm telling you to do in the course, or do what I'm telling you to do. And whether I don't know if I'm going to, price this in a way that is easily consumable, or if I'm going to give it away free. I don't know yet. So just kind of check back with me. But I put it down so that it makes it very, very simple for you to literally follow it and achieve some of the same outcomes that you can achieve if you just stay consistent. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about this on the next video. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into this, and be on the lookout for the course. All right, we'll talk to you soon.